Hi, and welcome. And the title of the episode is Communication Blackout Has Begun, Red Lines Crossed, Special Ops Activated. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the invisible enemy, they're now making their move. They understand what's happening. They understand that the truth, the facts are coming out, and they're going to have to stop this. Remember post 4414, Red 1, Red 2, Red 3. We're at the point, we're at Red 2, where we're seeing a communication blackout. Remember, this will be a communication blackout throughout the U.S. Now, they might hit some certain areas where power might go out. Will this be permanent? No. Is there other ways of getting the message out? Absolutely. But we can see they're starting to make their move. Actually, today, Biden, he said the quiet part out loud. And basically what he's talking about is 0 day. He mentioned a cyber attack by Russia, and it seems that they're preparing and ready to make their move. And they went ahead and they did a couple of things today. Remember, today was the January 6th show trial, the investigation that was going on today. And all of a sudden, the states that are doing a forensic audit, their Twitter accounts were taken down all at once at the same time. Yes, the communication blackout has begun. Remember, this is just the first phase, because when they realize they haven't stopped the flow of information, they're going to take it to the next level. And I do believe this is why Red 2 says communication blackout continental U.S. Yes, things are going to get very hot in August. Remember, they changed the testing. The testing is going to take effect probably in the months of October, November, when you'll start to see actual results. They know the flu season's coming back. So they know from now until then, they're going to have to push very hard, because they realize that, first of all, the forensic audit, that report's coming out. They understand that they need to create riots, and they can't have people showing their faces, so they need everyone masked up again. And they need control, lockdowns. Basically, they're following the same exact playbook. Now, we're going to be talking all about this a little bit later, but first, I just want to give everyone an idea of the way they think. Now, this is coming out of 1776.2, and this is a page from Klaus Schwab. Now, Klaus Schwab, he is the one who is pushing the Great Reset. Not him alone. There are many other people that are pushing this. And here's a highlighted section of his book. And this is what it says. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars and starvation. Energy, food, and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white population of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than any other continent until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion. Of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are the people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. Now, think about that for a second. Think about their thought process and what they're trying to do. And yes, he's not alone in wanting this. This is the deep state. This is what they want. They want the elimination of people. Yes, they're going to try to start a war. Remember, this has been their objective from the very beginning. What happened? Trump stepped in. He won the election. He was in the White House for 4 years, reversing everything that they're trying to do, buying time, plus setting up the deep state for the biggest sting operation we have ever seen in our lifetime. Yes, he was putting all the pieces together for devolution. And we've talked about devolution before. And he needed the deep state players to commit the crime. So everyone, not just here in America, around the world, worldwide, could see what they're trying to do, how they were doing it, and wake the people up. Now, during this process, yes, this process that we're going through right now is about waking people up. Waking up enough people so they understand what they have done, so they accept that, yes, these people are evil, they will cheat, they will kill, They will do whatever they have to get their way. And that's what we're experiencing right now. I mean, we've come to the conclusion now, and from the CDC, from the FDA, but again, that wasn't their agenda. Their agenda was to bring their entire narrative, their mission back on track. The only way to do this is to get rid of Trump. Now, remember, the Patriots, they knew this. They knew that this is what they're going to try to do. They wanted them to do it. They wanted those corrupt individuals in place so the world can see them. They're center stage. And the people are going to prove that they cheated. The people are going to show how they did it. Yes, this was planned from the beginning. And we can tell now, since the forensic audit report's coming out from Arizona very, very soon, what are they doing? Now, they don't care if it's adults, children. They want everyone masked up. Well, DeSantis, he pushed back against the new CDC mask recommendation. He said that this is ridiculous. It's not based on science. Actually, none of it's based on science. 6 feet apart, 3 feet apart, wear a mask. Please show us the science. See, this time around, this is the point where people say no. The majority stands up and says, not again. Show us the clinical trials, peer-reviewed. If you cannot do this, if you cannot show us the science this time, we will not follow along. And guess what? They can't produce the science. Because once they produce anything, we're going to have the scientists, and I'm talking about we the people, recreate what they have given us. This is why they'll never do it. And yes, DeSantis and other governors should be pushing back because they're doing this again without any science data. This is their opinion. And by the way, anything that's coming out of the CDC, it is guidance. It is not law. So there is no law behind this. And people should demand the real science. Show us the clinical trial, peer-reviewed, present it to we the people. They won't do it, though. Now, Biden, he's taken this a step further. He's going to make it mandatory that those in Veteran Affairs get the vaccine. So they're really pushing this hard. Think about it. New York, California, other states, Biden, they're pushing this very, very hard. The question is why? Well, the first point of it is that they need to lock down everything. Now, the person that Jordan shows next to this person, and the person after this, and the person after this, I think there's 9 of them right here. These aren't retweets. These are people actually tweeting out, and they all say the same thing. See, this is how their system works. These are programmable bots, AI bots, that are just repeating the message. Some are blue check. These aren't real people. It's part of their system. So think about what's happening right now. They're trying to divide the people. Remember yesterday we talked about the 10 stages of genocide? It means with knowledge comes power. The more we know on what they're trying to do, the better equipped the Patriots are to fight this. This is what it means by the playbook is known. They've known these things all along. And remember, optics are very important. Sometimes you just can't show the people because they just won't believe it. You need the people to see it all to wake them up because bigger things are coming. Now, very interestingly, we know that the deep state players, the corrupt politicians in different states and different cities, they've been trying to defund the police, and we're seeing crime skyrocket like we've never seen before. Yes, again, this is part of the deep state agenda because they want crime out of hand. The government is going to step in and they're going to say, you know something, look at this. Crime is out of hand. The cities, the states, they can't handle it anymore. Maybe we should federalize the police force to the federal government. That's their end game. That's what they're trying to do. That's what this is all about. Yes, people might be all caught up in BLM and the police are dangerous. No, they want the police force federalized so they can control it at the top level. The founding fathers were very smart. The police are community-driven, decentralized. Remember, the deep state, the central bankers, they hate decentralization. They like centralization. This is why they're pushing this. But Trump, put out the statement because Senator Barbara Boxer, she was assaulted and robbed in Oakland. And he put this statement out. Former California Senator Barbara Boxer was savagely assaulted and robbed yesterday in Oakland, where they defunded the police. Our once great cities like New York, Detroit, San Francisco, and so many others have become a paradise for criminals because of Democrats. We must give power back to police or America will never be safe. We cannot let communist Democrats destroy our great cities. If we don't stop them, our communities, our country will be lost forever. He continued with another statement. The fraudulent nightly network newscasts have devoted 0 minutes to crime recently, even though crime is eating away at our cities and our country. They don't want to talk about it because it will hurt the political narrative of the communist Democrats. Just think, 6 months ago, we had the most secure borders in our history. Today, it is the least secure in our history with criminal illegal flooding into our countries. America needs law and order, not defunding the police. We need our police back. America should and can be safe. He's absolutely right. But guess what? The people of this country, they're noticing this. They're noticing crime is out of hand. They're noticing that those corrupt politicians, they're responsible for all of this. And yes, we have two agendas happening at the same time. We have the deep state agenda, where they want to defund the police so they can federalize the police. We have the Patriots agenda, showing people what they're trying to do to wake them up. And this is why Trump is continually calling them out on this. Now, very interestingly, we know that people are being held in prison. There are reports that they're being beaten. They're not treated very nicely. This is for the January 6th protests, where they took these people that were just in the Capitol building, not doing anything. They weren't destroying anything. These are the people that are in prison, and they're keeping them there. So today, we had Representative Gates, 𝗤𝗓𝗄𝗧, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They held a press conference, and they were demanding answers on the humane treatment of the January 6th political prisoners. And during this, all of a sudden, we had the left-wing mob come out, and they started blowing whistles. They started making the whole thing out of control, which was done on purpose, of course. But once again, they knew they were going to have this press conference. They announced it. They told everyone who was going to be there. And this is why they all showed up, because they knew they needed to interrupt this. Now, very interestingly, we know that the January 6th committee who's investigating January 6th, which they're not doing, it's one of those show investigations. They already know what the outcome is, just like the impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. They already know what they're going to do, and what they're trying to do is something very, very different than what's being told to the American people. They're not investigating anything. They want more power because they know what's going to happen. So Adam Schiff was discussing their plans for the January 6th commission. He said, we'll sit down with our staff and we'll map out, okay, what's the scope of what we're going to look at within what's defined by the statute? Now, as we learn more, that scope may expand because there are things related to January 6th. So did you catch that? They're planning to use the commission as a free rein to do whatever they damn well please. They're going to try to expand this to go after Trump supporters, Q followers, because they're going to lump them in the same exact group. They're already planning this, and we can see from many videos that are now being produced from January 6th, we can see most of the people were walking around peacefully inside the Capitol. The police are just standing there by the wall, waving people in. Yeah, come on in. You can take a look around. Just don't destroy anything. Don't touch things. And everything was fine. Remember, it was Antifa, FBI. They're the ones who were pushing a certain agenda. This is why Nancy Pelosi is so afraid. This is why when they were calling witnesses during impeachment hoax number 2, and the Democrats suggested this, let's call some witnesses, they freaked out because on Trump's side, one of the first witnesses was Nancy Pelosi. She would have been screwed if she testified. But Trump put out a statement about all of this, and he said, Nancy Pelosi is spending a great deal of time, effort, and money on the formulation of a fake, highly partisan January 6th committee to ask what happened. Will Nancy investigate herself and those on Capitol Hill who didn't want additional protection, including more police and National Guard, therefore being unprepared despite the large crowd of people that everyone knew was coming? Will Nancy and her committee study the massive voter fraud that took place during the 2020 presidential election, particularly in swing states? That was the reason hundreds of thousands of people came pouring into Washington, and therefore must be a big factor in the final committee report. Now would be a very good time to study the large-scale voter fraud in our presidential election. Will Nancy release the thousands of hours of tape so we can see the extent of which Antifa and Black Lives Matter play a role, while also revealing who killed Ashley Babbitt? A real and thorough investigation of this must be done. Will Nancy look into the vicious partisan investigations of conservatives and Republicans that are taking place by prosecutors all over the country? The 5-year investigation of me, and all that so many have been through, including the fake Russia charge, and including the local Democratic-controlled New York prosecutors who work around the clock to get President Donald Trump, while murderers, drug dealers, and human traffickers go free. And he's absolutely right, but they don't want to look at that because this is not a real investigation, as we've seen with the impeachment hoaxes. Those aren't real impeachments. So they're preparing something completely different. Remember, the forensic audit is going to be coming out. They're going to show fraud. Fraud vitiates everything. Trump and the Patriots, they've been planning this for a very long time. It's called devolution. We'll be talking about that in just a sec. But first, out in Maryland, we're seeing voter integrity groups finding serious anomalies in 4 Maryland counties. So the voter integrity group found serious anomalies, and according to their findings, the Democratic vote increase spike between 34 and 37% in 4 targeted counties: Anne Arundel, Carroll, Frederick, Hartford. Now that's very interesting. Then Matt Braynard put this out from his Look Ahead America, and he said that Look Ahead America Voter Integrity Project, 157,299 illegal ballots cast in Wisconsin presidential election are fraudulent. That's very interesting. They're illegal ballots in Wisconsin, 8 times the margin of victory in the presidential election. And then Praying Medic put this out on Telegram. The Wisconsin Assembly Campaigns and Election Committee will conduct a full forensic audit of the 2020 presidential election. So we have more and more states saying, you know something, we're seeing anomalies, we're seeing problems here, and we need to have a forensic audit. That's the only way you can find out if the elections are on the up and up. Remember, there's 2 different types of audits. There's the audit that the fake news uses, where they see 30 apples, and they look at the 30 apples and they count again. Yep, we got 30 apples. Then there's the forensic audit that says, yes, I see the 30 apples, but can I take a closer look? And I want to pick them up. I want to feel them. I want to scratch them. I want to make sure these things are apples. So they walk up to them and they say, well, all right, let me take up the first apple here. Whoa, this one's plastic. That's not a real apple. Let me see the second apple. Oh, I'm scratching it. Wait, why is it orange underneath? Wait, this is an orange painted to look like an apple. And they go through all the apples, and the forensic audit finds out we don't have 30 apples. We only have 10. The rest are fake. That's a forensic audit. See, when they just do a recount, they're just standing back going, yep, I just counted it. We got the same number. A forensic audit touches it, feels it, inspects it, makes sure that it's an apple. Make sure that the ballot is on the up and up. Make sure the vote in the system matches. Make sure the signatures match. Make sure that everything is on the up and up. That's a forensic audit. Now, very interestingly, and 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗜𝗔 put this out, that Arizona Senate liaison Ken Bennett admits to violating his NDA by leaking audit data to the press. Ken Bennett was prevented from being on site at the audit for leaking unverified numbers and undermining the audit by trying to discredit the cyber ninjas. He discredits himself. Now that's very odd. Why would he go ahead and violate his NDA? That's very interesting. We'll have to look and see how this all plays out here. Now, out in Arizona, we can see the senators there. They sent new subpoenas to Maricopa County and Dominion. They want to inspect the machines. This is what Senate President Karen Fann put out. And this is coming from the National Audit Watch channel on Telegram. And it says, Senate President Karen Fann calls on Dominion Voting Systems and Maricopa County supervisors to produce materials or appear before the Senate on August 2nd. So she's pretty much commanding them to appear on August 2nd at 1 p.m. I wonder what's going to happen. But since that came out, look what happened. Well, today we have the January 6th fake investigation, and Karen Fann put this out about August 2nd, and all of a sudden, we had Twitter start to take down accounts. Now, Wendy Rogers put this out. Twitter just suspended the Arizona audit account as well as the audit war room account. Follow me on Telegram and Gab for when I'm booted. I'll be next. But it wasn't just Arizona. It was Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Twitter took down all of these accounts. Think about that for a second. They're blocking the flow of information. This is the beginning of the communication blackout. They've already started it. They believe that this is going to stop people from talking. Do we really need Twitter anymore? No, most of these places have accounts on different platforms. Gab, CloudHub, Telegram, you name it. Will the information get out there? Yes. As they continually censor more and more people, people move to different platforms. Now they know this. They know that people are going to move to different platforms and the flow of information will not slow. So what will they have to do? They will have to do a communication blackout in the continental U.S. Now, this might consist of power outages. It might consist of supply chain hits. But we're going to see communication go down because they want the fake news to be the only source of information. Now, Biden, he was out there and he said the quiet part out loud. He said, if we end up in a war, a real shooting war with major power, it's going to be as a consequence of a cyber breach of great consequence. Now, think about what he just said here. He's letting everyone know that Russia, most likely, is going to cyber attack the United States. It's not going to be Russia, by the way. They're going to make it look like it's Russia, but it's not going to be really Russia. It's a false flag. And they're going to hit certain areas. Now, look what he says here. It's going to be as a consequence of a cyber breach, a great consequence. So, number one, they can blame this on Russia. Number two, this is going to be the push to try to get us into war. Remember the other day when I mentioned how they want to draft women now? They're reissuing that bill, trying to get it through. There's a reason for this. Remember, Trump, when he came into office, he put their plan off. They're trying to catch up now. We would have been at war already. People would have been dying all over the place. But remember, this is about setting the deep state up, setting them all up in the biggest sting operation that we've ever seen. Now, he just mentioned 0 day, by the way. That's what he's saying. So let's go back to post 4,414. Remember, red one was POTUS Twitter removal. Did we see that? Yes. We are now at red 2, Central Communications Blackout, and this is in brackets in bold, Continental U.S. We are at red 2 right now. Remember, these are red lines. The Patriots said, if you cross this red line, we're going to issue countermeasures. And this is just a small subset. I discussed this with Dave Hayes on one of our interviews. Usually he says these plans, and he spoke to someone, that these are much, much larger. But this is just giving us a glimpse into what we should expect. So red 2 is when the deep state shuts down communications. Now, red 3 is classified movement of Pelosi or Pence. Now, remember, Pelosi, she right now is handling the January 6th commission, and Pence, they made it seem like he's the bad guy. So will the Patriots go after Pelosi or Pence? Do I really mean the Patriots? No. We're talking about the fake riots that they're going to try to push. And I do believe this is why they're going to have to move either one of these people. And we'll have to see how that plays out. Red 4 is the movement of military assets to central locations under the guise of citizen riot control. Remember, they're going to create the instance that there are riots and there are Trump and Q followers who are very angry and upset, and they're out there rioting in certain locations. Remember, the deep state is moving the military into certain position. Are they doing this to help the patriots? Yes, for devolution. Think about it for a second. So let's stop there because that's where we're at right now. Now, if we go back to post 4,766, this is September 25th, 2020. Down at the bottom, it says Antifa mapping began a long time ago. Remember, they've been following the elections. They've been monitoring the elections. They've been capturing the elections. They know exactly how they cheated. They have all the data. Like Trump says, we caught them all. During this same period of time, they've been infiltrating Antifa, tracking them, monitoring, collecting information. They know exactly what they're going to do, when they're going to do it. Most likely, some of the people in Antifa are secret agents that are posing as Antifa, but they're not. So let's move to post 489, January 7, 2018. I'll just read from the top. U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord, Red Cross, foreign aid, war. Who audits where the money actually goes? Who actually receives the money? The U.S. taxpayers is funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Slush funds everywhere. Think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket? The hole is deep. Feel sick yet? So remember, if they're monitoring Antifa, it's the patriots who have infiltrated from within their organization. They've been tracking where this money has gone. They know, most likely, it's foreign governments, George Soros, and many, many others. Remember, this is the biggest sting operation we have ever seen. So let's move to post 12 here. This is October 30th, 2017. It says, military intelligence, reference above, is the absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. Now, let me read the next line. Remember, military intelligence, Space Force, military intelligence, they've been collecting all the data for devolution. Let me read the next line right here. Now think about why Antifa plays right into the plan. Remember, Antifa has been mapped. There's infiltration within their organization. And it says, always ahead, good guys are winning. Yes. Now here's post 34. We read this quite a bit. This is November 1st, 2017. Now I'm going to read in the middle of this post. It says, public riots are going to be organized in serious numbers in the effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS order, state of temporary military control, will be action and special ops carried out. That's devolution. Now think about it. I'm going to stop right there for a sec. Devolution, Chris Miller, 𝗍𝗠 they're all involved in this. And if you want to read more about this, you can go to Patel Patriot. I have it on the Telegram. It's linked there. And you can follow his 4 documents, and he lays it out completely. But devolution is where the military is set up to control the government if it's incapacitated. Could be a nuclear war. Now, the military will step in because we don't have a president if election fraud is proved. If there is no president, the military needs to take control. Think about what we just read in post 4,414. The deep state is going to move the military across the country to select cities. Remember, Antifa is going to be dressed up mass because they're making the mass mandates again, most likely as Q followers or Trump supporters. And they're going to pretend, this is a false flag, that, we have to stop them. But I think in the end with devolution, the military, they're not controlled by Biden. He's not the president. The military will then round up those people that are causing havoc. Now, think about this for a second. Let me go back to the post, and this is post number 34. This is November 1st, 2017. So we said, public riots are being organized in serious numbers in the effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned. Devolution and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child of this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has been long been broadcasted. What narrative are we in now? Let me continue. We'll be initiating the Emergency Broadcast System, EMS, during this time in an effort to provide a direct message, avoiding the fake news to all citizens. Now remember, Trump, way back in one of his tweets, says that the people have a giant voice. Remember, the military is prepared with giant voice to override everything. Organizations and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct the operation, which means that these riots, they will be dealt with this time. Not like before with BLM, Antifa in these cities where the police stood back. The military will come out and say, no. And they will stop these people. And no, they're not Trump supporters. No, they're not Q followers. The Patriots, they've been planning this for a very long time. And I do believe that we're going to see a lot of information come out. Remember, they need the communication blackout to stop the flow of information, to stop all the information that's coming out about the election fraud. And I think there's going to be quite a bit of it, not just from Arizona, but from many different places. And people are going to start to learn who the treasonous people are. Now, remember, I do believe the information that's going to be coming out is going to be hard evidence, documents, texts, and a lot of this will be brought out into the open. The Patriots, they've been planning, pre-planning, strategically planning this for a very long time. Does Trump look nervous? Does he look like he's all frazzled? I mean, think about everything that they threw at him. Number two, we have the prosecutor in New York going after him. Does he look scared? Does he look like he's not in control? No, he's in total control. He knows exactly what's going on. The military is following his lead. The military, the top people, and I'm not talking about the woke generals. There are a lot of generals in the military. I'm talking about the top people who remembered their oath. They're waiting patiently. They're waiting patiently to move forward with the special ops. They're just waiting for what? The deep state to cross the red lines. That's what they're waiting for. And each time they cross one, well, another countermeasure is put into place. The Patriots are in total control, and the world will be watching this unfold. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.